I'm Sam from Sheridan Computers. I'm going to walk through how to install pfSense. The last time I did a video about how to install pfSense, it was a couple of years ago. Not much has changed during the install process other than we've now got ZFS functionality. But say I've not done it for a while, so I'm going to walk through and I'm going to show you how to install pfSense. If you'd like to hire us for any pfSense projects, of course, that's what we're here for. So head across to our website, there's a hire us button at the top. Fill out the contact form and leave some details on what you're looking for. We'll price it and we'll get back to you. So let's go ahead and start with the pfSense installation.
Sheridan Computers, IT, Communications, Support.
First thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to head over to and download pfSense. So let's go and do that. So we're going to get the Community Edition. I want version 2.6.0, which is the latest one as of today's date, which is 21st of January 2023. I want the architecture, so in my case it's AMD 64, yours probably is too. And the installer, so you want memstick installer, or you can select the DVD image. So we're going to go with memstick installer. Console, whether you use serial or VGA, because some devices don't have VGA and are serial only. We do have VGA, so we're going to go ahead and download that. Okay, so it's downloaded. Once it's downloaded, we're going to need something to burn it to a USB stick with. Now I'm using Balena Etcher, which you can download for free to do this. I do already have it installed, so let me go ahead and grab it real quick. Okay. So here's our downloaded image, but it is compressed. It's gzipped, so we need to extract it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you need something to extract it with, you can use 7-zip. So I'll go ahead and extract that to here. So once you've extracted it, run whatever you're going to use to burn it. You can use Rufus to say or Balena Etcher. I'm going to do flash from file. Select my USB stick, and then we're just going to flash it. Okay, so I'm just going to select my boot device. So I want it's on that one. So let's go ahead. You can ignore the root mount waiting for cam, it's end of an issue. Okay, so we have the copyright and distribution notice, so we'll go ahead and accept that. We want to install pfSense, so we're going to start by selecting our key map, which is United Kingdom for me. Obviously choose your country here and continue. So setup options, we're going to use guided route on ZFS. Now here, these options are going to change depending on what you want to do. If you're going to mirror, if you've got mirrored disks, you're going to choose mirror, or you can choose one of the RAID options. We only have one drive in this, so we're going with Stripe, which has no redundancy. I'm going to select my drive, which is the my Toshiba in this case. And pool name, if you want to change it. Force UK sectors you can leave to yes. You can encrypt the disks if you want to. Partition scheme, so I'm going to go with, you might want to go with GBT BIOS for older machines. If it supports UEFI, you can go to GBT UEFI. Now my swap size, I have 8 gig in this, so I'm going to set it to 10. So I have 8 gig of RAM, so I'm just doing 8 gig plus 2 to get the 10. You can mirror the swap and encrypt the swap if you want. We're just going to go ahead and proceed. So, last chance, this will destroy any data that's on the drive, so just be aware of that, it's fine. Okay, so the installation is now finished. If you want, you can exit to the installer and open a shell to make any final modifications. Well, we're not bothered, so no. So the installation is complete. It's pretty quick to install pfSense, so we're going to go ahead and reboot. So you'll want to remove the installation media. So unplug that. No longer needed. Alright, so at this stage it's asking if we want to set up any VLANs, and we're going to choose no. Okay, enter a name for the WAN interface. So you can do A for auto detection. So if you just plug a single cable in and press A. No link detected for me, so that's easy enough. If I unplug the cable, it'll show me what port I'm in. So IGC0, I'm going to be using for LAN. IGC3 is my WAN. So put that back in there. So IGC0 is my LAN, IGC3 is my WAN. So WAN interface is going to be IGC3. Enter the name of LAN interface, IGC0. If you want the optional interface, we're going to skip that for the time being. So it's just asking you to confirm the ports. Yes, we want to proceed. Boot up complete. Okay, so 192.168.1.1, so we should be up and running now. Let me just check that I can ping that. Which we can, so we should be good to log in now. Let me just make this a bit bigger. So you'll get the certificate warning. It's obviously a self-signed certificate, so we can do advanced, accept the risk and continue, and now we can go ahead and log in with the default username of admin. The password of pfSense. Okay, so welcome to pfSense. So you're presented with the setup wizard. So we're going to next this. You can choose your host name. So pfSense is fine, and your domain name. So I'm just going to put Sheridan.local. Your primary DNS server. So I'll set that to 9.9.9.9, which is quad DNS, and the secondary I'll set to what is quad DNS secondary. So it's there. I'm going to go ahead, stick that in for secondary. So override DNS, allow DNS service to be ridden by DHCP, PPP and WAN. Obviously if your WAN address is DHCP, then it's possible to override them. I don't want them to. I want them to stay there. That's fine, select your time zone. So configure the WAN interface, so leave it on DHCP for me. If you need to put a static IP address, you can do that here. You'll have to change that to PPPoE or static, whichever your option. I'm just going to go with DHCP. There's nothing else we really need to set on there. I'm going to untick these. You'll probably want to leave them ticked, but my WAN interface is my WAN IP address is an RFC 1918 one, so it's non-routable. Configure the LAN interface, so you can change this to you should probably change this to something that's not on 192.168.1.1. Just for this demo I'm going to leave it there, but everything sits on 192.168.1.1 home routers, so you're better off changing that. Set your subnet mask, so admin password. I'm literally just going to stick pfSense back in there because it's a demo. So reload. Okay. So check to updates. Okay, so that's done. So we can go ahead and accept the copyright and trademark notices. Thank you. Complete the survey if you want. So we're on the latest version. That's basically the pfSense installed, there are a couple of things that we're going to want to change. So I'm going to go ahead and go through them now. So we'll start with system and advanced. If there's anything that we need to change in there. So the protocol this is for the web interface, what it wants to listen on, and the certificate. So if you want to change the port that it listens on, then you can do that. So I am going to do that for this one. So I'm going to change it to 8443. Disable web redirect, so we can leave that on. So basically if you just do HTTP, it will redirect. There's nothing that we really need to change in here now. Anti-lockout rule, you don't want to disable that. Alternate host names and DNS rebind checks. That's if you want to refer to your it by its host name, just to make sure there's no clashes. Browser tab text, display the first name in the browser if you want to, the name of the page that you're on. So secure shell, we're going to enable secure shell. We can change the port if you want. So we'll leave the rest of this fine. And password protect console menu is always a good idea. That's basically anyone can just boot it into single user mode without the requirement of a password. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's been done. So we just go to just put 8443 at the end because I've changed the port name rather than listing on the default 443. Now you'll probably want to change the port that it's sitting on because if you're redirecting services or you have any services on there, they can clash. So move the port number, always a good idea. I'm going to close this because I don't need it. So back in advanced, we've done that first part. So we can change these if you need. I'm going to leave it on normal for now. There's not really much that you need to change in here. Update frequency for networks, you can leave all this lot. NAT reflection, now you might want to change this to pure NAT. It's basically if you're hosting websites and they redirect internal, you can change that. But there's not really anything else that we need to change in here. So networking, if you're using IPv6, you can unblock it here. I'm just going to leave it blocked because we're not using IPv6 for this. There's not really much that you need to change in there. So under miscellaneous, there's really not too much you need to change in here. You can enable PowerD if you want for power step. We can do this system does have ASNI, so I do want to enable that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. On the thermal sensor, I'm going to set to Intel. If you've got an AMD processor, you're going to just want to use the AMD one. Some devices don't actually support that. There's really not too much that we need to change in here now. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So under system tunables, you don't really need to worry about these too much. On notifications, so enable notification of expired tickets. If you're not bothered about that, you can disable it because it can keep pestering you. So email notifications, so you can set up your email, stick your email server in, SMTP port, timeout, or secure connection or not, and this will allow you to receive email notifications from your firewall. You can disable the startup shutdown sound. It's generally a good idea to leave that enabled so you can tell if it's powered up or not. And there's not really too much to set up in here. If you are using Slack, you can enable Slack notifications, which is kind of funky. But just for this demo, I'm not going to bother doing that. That's quite easy enough. You just put the Slack channel in and your API key. Let's go ahead and save that. So you've got Cert Manager. So in here you can set up your certificates. I'm not anything to do here. High availability. So if you've got two of these devices, you can use high availability. If one of them dies, the other one will take over. So general setup, that's where you set the host name, DNS servers, time zone, theme. You might want to change that, change it to dark. Change the navigation so it scrolls with the page, whether you want the host name in the menu. These are just like your preferences. Whether you want to show the host name on the login banner, so that's not much we need to change in there. Okay, so we've done that. Package manager. So we've currently got no packages installed. So if there's packages you want to install, you can go to available packages. You might want to install Acme for certificates. So we'll go ahead and install that one. So that's installed. If there's anything else that you want to install, if you're familiar with, you can install them. HA proxy. I'm going to install that for this for some demos. I'm just installing the packages that I want. I'm not actually going to enable them at this stage. That's going to be for future videos. And of course, we can install PF Blocker is a good one. NTOP-NG is also a good one you can use to install. So just install the ones that you're familiar with. Obviously, we have WireGuard. So we've got WireGuard if you want to install WireGuard. Zabbix agents, if you're using Zabbix, you can use Zabbix to monitor your firewall. You can also install a proxy agent and then use Zabbix to use pfSense as a proxy for Zabbix to get to other machines. Secret register for registering with pfSense for pfSense Plus. On the routing, you've got your routing tables. So we've got default gateway. It's generally a good idea to set this to actual gateway rather than leaving it to default because it can automatic, because it can cause a few issues. Go ahead and apply that. So obviously you can see the static routes and gateway groups, you can set them up in there. The setup wizard will take you back through the setup wizard again. Obviously you've got the update manager, which checks for updates. So here you can obviously jump to 2.7 if you want. So we're completely up to date. The user manager, so you can set up your users in here. Under interfaces, assignments. So this device does have actually 4 ports and only 2 are assigned. You'll have 3 if you chose to assign the optional one during setup, but they're not there. So we can go ahead and add them interfaces in. Add that one. I'll go ahead and save that. Now you can change the name of these, so you can enable the interface, and you can give these a name that you want. So you can call that LAN2, WAN2, and set them up. So I'll go ahead and enable that. Apply the changes. If we go back to interfaces and assignments, up 2, I'm going to enable that one too. So you can block the Bogon networks, which is RFC 1918, which are non-routable ones if you want to. So go ahead and do that. So we've enabled our interfaces. So obviously you can go in and change your WAN settings there. The setup wizard does most of this stuff for you. So that's your interface stuff. Firewall, so aliases. So you can set up any aliases that you want here. And you can refer to them in firewall rules, so it's generally a good idea. So if I put Google DNS, for example, Google DNS servers, you can put type hosts. We could do AAAA, Google DNS host, add another one, 9999, Google DNS host, and obviously you can add as many hosts in as you want. Apply changes. Which is now done. And you can do the same with ports and URLs. So you can add aliases for ports and you can add aliases for URLs. So if you want to add ports, for example, we can do put service ports. Then you can choose the addresses that you want. So if you had like mail, you can use SMTP, whatever you want. So you can set all your aliases up in there. I'm not actually going to bother, so these are them ones I don't need. I'm going to trash them. So this is where you do your port forwarding. So I'm going to do a separate video on port forwarding, so one-to-one NAT bindings, and your outbound. So I generally recommend that you set this to hybrid outbound plus the ones that you specify below. This will allow you more control over what you're doing with you and allow you to create more NAT rules. So I suggest you leave that way. Now obviously firewall rules. So everything is blocked by default on the WAN, so nothing at all can be accessed. If you wanted to allow access to a particular service, you can allow it here. So I'll go through these separately. LAN. So by default, everything is allowed out, and you've got your anti-lockout rule, to prevent you getting locked out of the web interface. And we've got our opt1 and opt2. So we're just going to do add pass opt1, and I'm going to do IPv4 any. So I want to allow anything to go from opt1 net out to any. So opt1 allow all. And I'm going to do the same for this one to allow anything out on there. So I'm going to do pass opt2 IPv4 any protocol. I'm going to set that to opt2 net, opt2 allow all rule. I'm not allowing any traffic to pass that's on those. The interfaces are not really set up, so there's no IP addresses or anything on them. Now your WAN rules. If you don't open services just for the sake of it. If you don't need to open them, don't. Now your LAN rules are set to all. For most purposes, this is probably fine for what you want. Now I would generally change them so it doesn't allow anything out. So I would change them to allow just from the LAN net to like port 80, for example, for web traffic, port 443. Maybe we want to enable SMTP. It's kind of up to you, but I just generally open the services that you're going to want to use. But that's just me on the way that I personally set things up. Schedules. So we can add schedules there. So for example, if we add a schedule in, again, I'll do a separate video on these, but we can add a schedule in for example, if you only wanted to allow traffic out during certain times of the day, we can create a schedule and we can do that, and we can refer to it in the firewall rules. Traffic shaper. I'll do a video on this separately because it's not necessarily needed for initial setup. And virtual IPs. So if you've got more than one, we want to assign extra IP addresses to interfaces, you can do. Proceeding on from there, we have services. So Acme certificates, which was part of the package, so we can set Acme certificates up here. Auto configuration backup. So this is a good one to enable. Enable auto encryption. Enable automatic backup. Sorry, encryption password. Number of backups to keep. Obviously, then you can restore them, back them up. So this is generally a good idea. So enable automatic backups. So automatically backup on every configuration change. So if we make any changes, we'll get a backup, so we can always restore to the last backup. Now you can put a password in there to encrypt your backups if you want to. It's generally recommended to do so. Optionally identifier, which will may allow the netgate to support to locate your key should you use it. Number of backups to keep, 1, 10. You can set that to whatever you want. So number of backups to keep, I'm going to keep the last 5. The encryption field is required. Okay, that's a good thing. So I'm going to set that to password 123 just to bypass this. I don't recommend you use that password. So we can back up now. Initial installation, backup. And then if we need to restore, we can do. So done auto config backup, captive portal. So we can set the captive portal up. I'm not going through that in this video. DHCP relay, DNS forwarding. DNS resolver. So you can specify what network interfaces for incoming and outgoing you want it to listen on. And this is where you can do host override. So if you want, if you set your domains like I did at sheridan.local, and I will password manager.sheridan.local to be resolvable internally, you can go ahead and add that in there. There's not really anything much that we need to change in here. NTP server, so time services. Most of this is set up for you, but these are obviously where you can make the changes. SNMP, so if you want to enable SNMP for monitoring, you can do that from there. UPnP, disabled by default unless you need it. I'd leave that disabled. Wake online is kind of funky, so I use this quite a lot. So I let my machines go into power saving mode. Just obviously so not drawing as much electric, especially in today's world. So I can enter the MAC address of my computer in there, hit send, and it'll wake it up so I can access it. And obviously under VPN, you've got your IPsec, OpenVPN settings in here. And obviously you can access WireGuard from there as well, if you've got it installed and enabled. So under status, dashboard obviously brings you to your dashboard where you can check everything. So obviously system temperature, DHCP leases, so you can see what clients have been assigned what DHCP addresses. Filter reload basically allows you to reload your firewall rules. Gateways, so you can set your gateways up here. You can assign gateway groups if you've got multiple gateways. So if you've got like a 1.1 and 1.2, you can add them to a group. And so you can refer to basically both you can set a rule up that will refer to both gateways in one rule as opposed to multiple rules for each gateway. Obviously HA proxy stats if you're using them. Interfaces, so information about your interfaces, so you can see the MAC addresses, well, the addresses there basically. Monitoring, so system processes and things. NTP shows you the time servers it's using. OpenVPN. Queues is if you've got traffic shaping enabled. We haven't on this. I am going to go through that. Services basically allows you to check what services are running in the system. You can restart services from here. Stop them. There's a way to get to the logs from there. So obviously system logs allows you to look through your system logs. You've got your firewall rules, IPsec rules, and this is basically what you can use for diagnostics. Traffic graph shows you traffic coming in and out of the system. UPnP stats, usually it's disabled. Under Diagnostics, you can see our ARP table, so you can see MAC and IP addresses assigned to what. Authentication, you can use local database or other services if they're enabled. Backup and restore. So this is for when you're taking a backup of your system. Recommend that you keep a backup locally once you've set this up, and then obviously you can restore that, and your config history is in there as well. If you want to drop to a command prompt, you can execute commands there basically. DNS lookup. So if you want to run DNS tests, for example, it's either reverse, it's DNS Google, and the name servers that was used to do that. Edit file, advanced users only. So this basically allows you to edit files within the system, and you've got the full root tree there, so you can edit these files, view them. Factory defaults will reset your system back to factory default if you need to do it. So obviously be careful with that option. We've got halt system. So when we want to shut the system down cleanly, we can do that and stop it that way. Limiter info, we've got no limiters set up, so there's nothing in there. NDP table. Packet catcher allows the use of capturing packets. So you can enable promiscuous mode, and then you can basically snoop on packets. PF info, give you interface stats. PF top allows you to see what's going where. So ntop ng is a good one to replace that. Ping, so if you want to ping anything on your network or wherever for diagnostics purposes, you can go ahead and do that. Hit ping, set the max number of pings. Obviously we can reboot the system there. Routes, so you can see your routing tables. Smart status will give you the status for your hard drives. So you can do your hard drive tests from there. Sockets, what's listing on what sockets, so ports. States. I'm pretty much done with that, and obviously you've got the help about this page. Bug database, FreeBSD handbook, paid support, and the user forums. That is pretty much us set up. I was just giving a brief description of the options that are available. I'm probably doing a lot more videos, and as I do these videos, I'm going to pretty much deep dive into each of these options further. So I hope that helped getting your pfSense installed. If you do have any issues or questions you'd like to ask, if you head over to our website, just type in sheridan.co.uk or Google Sheridan Computers. There's a link to our forums, and if you go into our forums, it's easier if you ask questions there, because when you post comments and things on YouTube, they get missed quite easily because the comment system's not very good. So head over to the forums if you need anything. If you did find this video useful, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel, and if you hit the notifications icon, you will receive notifications of any new videos as they are released. And I am planning on doing quite a few more pfSense videos, so make sure you check that. I'll see you on the next video.